Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it. But
increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and I feel really rusty. We haven't seen you guys for a couple of weeks. I hope you missed us because we missed you. We missed being here in front of you. And if you're joining us here live, thank you so much. Come here live every week as we bring you amazing, amazing guests. And today is no different. But listen, we want you to bookmark your calendar so you don't miss these shows, because we are bringing you people who are going to share their experiences, their stories, their skill sets to help you level up, to close the gaps in your knowledge that will help you experience success a little faster and maybe have some fun along the way. If you can't join us every week, we get it. Go to masterconnector.show and we have the roster of people that are coming up. If there's somebody you see there that you need to hear from, you make sure you don't miss that episode, because this is live. And the advantage of live is you get to ask our guests questions. You get to ask them whatever you want. And I was taught years ago, never leave a meeting, never leave a room with an unanswered question, right? Because that could be the difference between your level now and that higher level tomorrow. So we got a great show for you today. We're excited for you to join us, and, Happy New Year, and hope you had great holidays, but we're back and we want to help you level up. Steve and I, we go back 27 years. It's probably 28 now, because I keep saying 27 for about 2 years now. It's probably like 28 years. Two former shy guys, two introverts who overcame shyness, who overcame those debilitating fears that we had of talking to people, or simply the skill set of connecting with people, so we can all become connectors together. But there's only one master connector, and let's bring him on, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's up, Robbie D? Robbie G, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's great being on here. Happy New Year to you and everyone. I missed you guys, and my sister's chiming in here. Eileen, missed you. What's up, Rob and Steve? But I feel like, it was good to have some time to recharge, but nothing, I don't know, just livens my soul, but being able to be on here and really make an impact with people and be on here and do this with you on this journey of life together with you, Robbie G. So appreciate you, buddy, big time.
You too.
Thank you. What's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. Happy New Year. Great to be here with you. And you're in a treat for today. But listen, here's a question for you guys. What if the very challenges you're facing right now are shaping the strongest version of you? We all go through stuff. I heard somebody say recently, I like it. It's life's. And we all have our stuff, right? And our guest today, she has some interesting stuff. But we all have it, right? You know my story. Some of you have picked on and bullied, learning disabled, dyslexic, black belt, multiple stitches and broken nose, broken bones. Some of those things I guess I could have avoided. Sometimes things happen, challenges happen we have no control of. But what I've learned is true success emerges when your actions align with your values, not just external validation or survival, right? And you're going to hear a little bit about that today. But how you react, right? We know life happens, like we said, but it's not what happens to you, but it's how you react to it. And a lot of our identity is about some of the things we've gone through. And I love the fact that I'm able to share and be vulnerable and be authentic and share some of the things about being, someone who's an introvert and been bullied and dyslexic. I think that, to me, number one, I feel better about me, because when I was a younger person, a younger adult, I hid all that stuff. I was so insecure. I felt like so maybe ashamed of those things that I didn't want to bring it to the light, because I felt like you were going to judge me, if you will. And then I finally got peace in it. I'm like, you know what? They need to hear it, because you know what? Number one, I felt better. Number two, it might be relatable to you. And number three, I saw that walls came down, because the more authentic I was, the more I led with that unique, authentic self, then I found that people were opening up to me more. I remember during the COVID times, I was doing, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 Zoom calls a week, believe it or not, maybe more. And I felt super connected. And I had people on calls with me. They were like, they were bawling up, they were crying, they were getting emotional. They was like, Steve, I'm telling you things I didn't tell anyone in my entire life. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not your therapist, but it was amazing. And it's because I shared from my heart and I told them I was authentic. I know that word authenticity is probably overused. It's a little cliche-ish, but listen, whatever you want to say, be real, be yourself, be the true version of who you are, whatever you want to call it. It's important because it really does break down those barriers. I speak about that on stages, right? Breaking barriers to create real human connection in this digital era. And as you guys know, in a few days, pray for me, please, because I'll be on a TEDx stage on the 10th in Houston. Excited. If you are up for an adventure, you come check it out. It's going to be a blast. And I'm speaking on the topic is the quiet advantage, how introverts outconnect the rest. And a lot of that talk, coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, is going to be about being vulnerable, being authentic, and how that really helps you outconnect the rest. So I hope you don't miss it. And I thank you, Rob, for putting that in the comments there for me. But I'm just so appreciative of my co-host, Rob. He's been an incredible asset addition to the show. And I don't know if I could even survive without you, bud. But I appreciate it. But Robbie G, if you're ready, type in the comments. Let's go. Robbie G, I pass it to you, buddy.
All right, let's go, everyone. They told her she couldn't, so she did. Candice Morgan is no stranger to stepping beyond comfort zones. She's a sales goddess, coach, and speaker whose journey defies expectations. Raised in a religious cult, married young to an alcoholic, and living in poverty in rural Mexico, Candice spent years door to door evangelizing in Spanish, immersed in a life she was told was her destiny. But she chose courage over conformity. She walked away from everything she knew and stepped boldly into corporate America. In her very first sales role, Candice tripled company revenue, tripled in just 3 years. Today, she's blazing a new trail, using her story, her grit, and her voice to inspire others to rewrite what's possible. Please welcome to the show, Candice Morgan. What's up, Candice?
Hi, thank you for having me, both of you.
Thanks for coming.
Hola.
That's about the extent of my Spanish.
Don't even.
I probably know more bad words than I do the real words. You know? Can you still speak fluent Spanish?
I can. I'm married to an American guy that only speaks English now, so I don't get as many opportunities to practice, though.
I hear you. Well, but we're just super blessed to have you on here, and let's get right into it. Right, a big part of the show is on authenticity. So, community, type in hashtag authenticity, and while you're doing that, I just want to give a big shout out to amazing Yolanda Chin, who's on here with us, and of course my sister, who I did fail to mention, will be taking the journey with me to Houston. So I'm excited to do that trip with you, Eileen. Appreciate you. But so here's the question for you, Candice. Right? When did you realize that success only truly works when it's aligned with who you really are?
Oh, that's a tricky one, because it's especially in the environment that I was raised in. So I was raised in this high control cult the first 30 years of my life. So you are systematically taught to ignore your natural self, to doubt yourself. You are flawed. So you need to silence yourself. You need to cover yourself up. And I'm not just talking about my own thoughts and opinions, but also, especially as a woman being raised in a situation like that, our bodies, our physical body needs to be covered up because it's something to be ashamed of. And that really hinders you from reaching your potential, because our strength, your strength, Steve, your strength, Rob, is being unique and being true to yourself. And the closer we can align our lives with that, that's our destiny. That's what we're supposed to be here on the earth for. And the more we're trying to conform, we're pushing against it. It's like this internal conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And I know Rob probably can share more on it, but in terms of that conformity, we were a part of a team at one point where there was a lot of conformity. It was a lot of, we were taught about duplication and making sure that you just follow the system. And And I think some can adapt to that, but I think it's hard to. And Rob, I know you said you thrived when you were able to be the real person you were designed to be, right, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, look, I experienced nothing like you have, Candice. But we all have our journey to go on, and I was so paralyzed with fear. Like, maybe we'll talk about this, but I read your bio about going door to door. I can't do that now. It terrifies me now, and I don't really have many fears anymore. But those kind of things where, coming from a place where you're told what to think at a time when you're very vulnerable or susceptible to those thoughts because you're looking up to people who are supposed to be guiding you. That's the kind of thing where until if you don't know who you are, right, not a lot is possible that's you. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about coming out of that because you had 30 years of it. I had my first 27 years of just pure fear and then starting to learn some things, but then getting into a place where here's how you succeed. And it was a very bunch of set rules, which were still not allowing me to be me. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s where I finally had the guts to break out. But maybe give us a little bit, how did you come out of that? What was the impetus to go, I need to get out of this?
Okay. The impetus was my daughter. That was the last straw because I've been having these thoughts for years, but it's so scary to break out of something like that, especially if it's all the people that are in your community, my parents, my sister, my friends, my network. You are so entrenched in this culture that the thought of leaving is just too much because once you leave the cult, everybody that's still in there is required to systematically shun you. So I knew that if I left, I would lose contact with my parents, my sister, my entire safety network. So that's a huge talk about fear, how you're talking about living in fear, that when you're feeling that inside, oh, that's one thing. You're just going to sit in it. But it's another thing to have to teach it to your kids. And my daughter, she's very intelligent. She's 13 now. But even as a toddler, she would ask me these really intelligent questions. And I'm thinking to myself, I know how I'm supposed to answer these questions, how the cult has taught me how to teach her. And I kept seeing her future. I kept seeing her being held down and her not being able to go to college or her having to get married really early and say goodbye to her dreams. And that is what pushed me over the edge to save my kids. I sacrificed everything to save them.
So I don't need to ask you how the courage. So community, just for the sake of it, because there was a question I was going to ask about courage. So put in hashtag courage. We're not going to talk about that because you just covered it. But here's the flip side. I know that when you're in the midst of craziness, sometimes some of us, we got to move. We got to, I know that there's fight, flight, and freeze, right? When you're in sort of that dangerous situation that, it's the instincts from, I think, our reptilian brain that, back in the, dinosaur age. So I want to talk about stillness. And so community, type in hashtag stillness. So why is stillness such a powerful and often overlooked tool for self-discovery?
Okay. Think about if you're trying to get to know another person. Say you're looking for a wife. So you're going to take some different women out on a date. You like one. So you're going to go on several dates with her. You're going to take her out on a vacation. You're going to maybe move in together before you even decide you want to marry her. It takes a lot of time and conversations with her to get to know her. It's the same way with yourself. You cannot get to know yourself if you are constantly, on your phone, listening to other people's ideas or like talking to other people. That's important too, but you have to have that stillness in your day, every day, to continue to have that conversation with yourself and to listen and be present in your own body because nobody else is having the experience except for you.
That's awesome.
You know what? On that note, I mean, I was a child who I'm as an introvert, I can clearly be alone. and perfectly happy being alone. But aside from that, as a child, I grew up very introspective. And I thought I was the weird one because everybody always talked about how, oh, that one is the life of the party. That one's so funny. That one's so outgoing. Look how they all have friends. They have tons of friends. And so I was kind of the outcast. And what's interesting about that is my introspection is the thing that led me on a journey to find who I am and to accept who I am and to realize it's actually a superpower to have that introspection, to be able to think about something, go, how does that affect other people? Maybe I should do something about how I'm pissing people off or how I'm making people feel cold or focusing more on other people. It allowed me to really understand myself so that I could find out who I truly am instead of doing what I was doing, which was copying Steve, copying Gary, copying Alec, copying all my friends because I didn't know who I was. So that copying, like you're saying, looking at everybody else on the phone and going, oh, they've got 100,000 followers. I should be like them. Mm-hmm. The introspection is what saved me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it is weird nowadays to be introspective because a lot of us are just regurgitating info that we find and sharing and following. And I think creative thought and unique thought is so rare. Maybe it is weird.
Well, I mean, people are still talking about what you just said and not accepting it. You need to take time to be still with your thoughts. And I think the people that are opposite of us who are like that are going, no, you got to keep moving. If you keep moving, like you don't, you got to keep moving. And that works for them in a way, but it would not work for me.
Yeah. So and I'm not giving away the whole talk because you're going to have to either come live or listen to when it gets released on my TEDx. But one of the reasons I talk about as an introvert, and Rob and I, we share that, is where our ability to observe, to listen, because we're able to see what others miss because of that stillness, because of that, I believe it is a superpower that we have as introverts. And again, that applies to us, not just around in environments, but also within ourselves. I heard this for years, you'll always be a second class somebody else, but you'll be a first class you. And it's always been a valid, and it took a long time for that to sink in for me, but it's always been valid. But I think now more than ever, with all this comparison stuff where you see all these people on social media living their best life, meanwhile it's a week of their whole life where they just put probably 10,000, 30, 20,000 on a credit card that they can't pay, and we're comparing ourselves to those people, or the big influencers that we see as well. So, let's keep the ball rolling here. So let's talk about identity. I think that's a big part of what we're talking about now here. So community, type in hashtag identity. And so, Candice, here's the question, how do people begin reconnecting with themselves after years of living for others, right? So that was what you were doing, right? So now let's talk about how do you reconnect with yourself? And I'm sure some of it's stillness, but let's dig in a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like, most people probably did not survive a cult. I think a lot of women, especially mothers, because I had 2 small children whenever I left the cult. You are just so busy living for others. So many hours of your day are just the day-to-day you're just trying to keep your head above water. You're lucky if you even get a full night's sleep if you're a mom of little kids. And it's easy to have your life start moving in a direction and you're like, I don't even know what. You look in the mirror one day and you're like, who is this person? And it is exactly like I was just saying about getting to know someone. It's a process. It's not like one day you wake up and you know exactly who you are. It's like a muscle that you have to constantly exercise. So journaling is something that I recommend a lot of clients. It seems so monotonous, but having that conversation written down in your head of what you're talking about with yourself, that's important. I practice yoga with my clients as well, because that connection with your physical body and accepting it for who you are and not trying to make it push and form into some other society's example of what's perfect, that's important too. And that body and mind is part of the process, and it's never going to end. I'm going to be doing this till I die.
That's awesome. Yeah. You know, and I find that in regards to, you know, how we feel about ourselves, you know, being a bit of, I don't know, if because I'm an introvert, but I'm a bit of a control freak. And so I like to control the environment around me. And if I had my brothers, I'd control people. But I don't want to control people. I want to control my life and my destiny, quite frankly. I've learned to get out of that game. So I want to talk a little bit about control. So here's the question for you, Candice. What do you feel? What do you do when life feels out of your control, but you know change is needed?
Yes. So my first marriage was very much out of my control. I got married young. I had been taught and programmed to be submissive wife, to be a mom, to yield to whoever I marry and his decision-making skills. Well, we were living in poverty and he was an alcoholic. So it is like, it's both literally and figuratively, me sitting in the passenger seat and the man who's driving the car is drunk. So that is, you're not in control of that situation. So taking a step back, when you see that your life is not in your control, the only thing any of us can control is ourselves. We can't control other people, no matter how much we try. In fact, the more we try, they're probably going to become more and more out of our control.
Yep.
So just take a step back and try to control how you're reacting to the world around you, because the energy that you put out there, as well as how you react to problems, how you react to challenges, to poverty, that does change your environment, because you will start to attract the right people into your network, which is exactly what happened to me. I changed who I was inside, and out of nowhere, I started getting job opportunities. I started finding people in the community that were women in leadership, people who could make changes in my life, because I was putting off a different energy. But also you repel the people you don't want in your life no more. People who are toxic and are trying to keep you down, you start to repel them with that new energy, right?
Yeah, I want to double down on what Candice is saying, audience, because, you know, one of the selfish reasons I accepted Steve's invitation to become co-host in the Master Connector show is to meet amazing people. Because what you're looking for, and what Candice was just saying, was you got to find your people. While she was given the wrong people against her will, she had to go out and find her people. And just as there are the negative people who bring you down and control you, you will also find the people who uplift you. And I have two people currently, and outside of Steve, who I only met this year through this show, who have gone out of their way and continue to do so, giving hours of their time and giving me support, promotion. How can I help you? Give me knowledge for no other reason other than they're good people. So what you're saying in surrounding yourself with the right people, finding your people, and understanding that environment is the opposite, but equally powerful as the negative one.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And Rob, by the
Oh, we losing him? We're losing Steve. I'm not sure what he was going to say. But we're probably winding down soon, and so maybe we'll just continue with. See him come back.
Oh, we lost him completely. Oh no.
Yeah, I just removed him until he comes back. His
Okay.
You know, this is the benefit of live show, is you get all the quirks. But let's talk about something here, and I'm going to go right into his hashtag. Or Steve, you back?
I'm back. Yeah, sorry about that. So you guess probably you weren't hearing anything I said. Sorry for the glitch. I don't know what happened.
That's right. You're back. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, good. I appreciate it. So I want to talk about transformation. Community, type in hashtag transformation. And I'd love for you to, maybe if you can, Candice, if it's not too personal, kind of how that last day going from the you're in the cult to out of the cult, if you can give us that's about, maybe weave that in. But, here's the question, and there's a story part in that. So I'd love to hear some of that story if possible. How does owning your story give others permission to do the same, and maybe if possible weave in a little bit of that last day, because I'm guessing it must have been insane.
It was scary. Because you have to write a letter, a formal letter to say, I'm not part of this religion anymore. And then the elders of the congregation call you and they have like a exit interview kind of thing.
Wow.
So I didn't have the balls yet to send it. And my husband found it in the laptop. He found the Word document that I had typed up. I hadn't sent it yet. And he sent it to the elders. He like outed me. And he sent it to the elders, like, look at my wife. She's messing up. What's going on? And so it was like, oh, the cat's out of the bag now. I moved out. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of transition. But I love this question about how me owning my story. And I think part of it is sharing it too, is what you're getting at. Because if I don't share my story, how are other people going to be inspired by it? So that is so vulnerable, sharing your story. I've gone up on stages and gone into detail about being married to an alcoholic. Like that's very vulnerable. But when I go up on those stages, so many women will reach out to me. Women that are still in that same religion reach out to me on my Instagram because my Instagram is public for that reason. I see them in my stories because you can see who's watching you on your stories on there. And I keep it public because they are watching everything I'm doing. And I know that at least they can see that you can find happiness outside of there. And that's why I do it, even though it's scary and it's vulnerable.
Well, we appreciate that you do it and you're telling your story. And yeah, you're certainly providing inspiration to me personally. And I know that to everyone's listening. So we appreciate you big time. We're going to start to wind it down here. So, Candice, what's the best way for people to reach you? And if you have any last final words, any closing thoughts, and if there's any kind of call to action or specifically how you'd like the community to reach you.
Okay, so I would love to have a conversation with anybody. I love hearing people's stories. Find me on Instagram, LinkedIn. My website is prumble.com. My company is called Prumble because my whole transformation has been both full of pride and humility, Prumble. And I just continue on down the road. So reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation. I'm in Atlanta.
I never asked you about Prumble. I was thinking maybe that was your maiden name or something. I don't know. So
no, I made it up. It's the name of my company.
I hear that. That's awesome. Well, really appreciate you, Candice. Have an amazing rest of the day. We'll see you in the green room here. And we appreciate you. Blessed our community. And thank you again for everything.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. Talk soon. Wow. Okay. Well, listen, I am just blown away with the amazing guests that we have. And so hopefully each week, as Rob said, you guys are tuning in every week. We're going to be back here next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. The 14th, I'll have officially given my TEDx talk. You won't be able to hear it yet unless you're live with us in Houston, but on the 14th. And we're going to be meeting with Ethan Chazen. I was recently on a podcast with him, putting humanity back in business. It's going to be an incredible show. Episode 243. I can't believe we're like in the mid 200s already. It's ridiculous. And if you want to learn more about some of the up and coming shows, as well as we're learning how to be a sponsor of the show, go to masterconnector.show. Again, appreciate everyone. Yolanda, my sister Eileen, and I know there's a lot of people that are watching but aren't necessarily in the comments. If we don't know if you're watching or unless you get in the comments. So just for the future, do. And I know there's a lot of people that watch and check out the show on the back end. So just type in hashtag replay if you're watching it on the replay. But we just appreciate you big time. And go to masterconnector.show if you want to be a sponsor or you want to learn about being a guest speaker. But I want to just say this. I know I was talking about my TEDx, but Rob's got some incredible news. It's the number one release. Don't Fear the Brand is his new book. Reveals on how he 4x'd his revenue while overcoming paralyzing fear. Get the inside story and exact strategy by clicking the link now and get it for 99 cents. Come on. It's worth $10,000. It's worth $100,000. You get it for 99 cents for a limited time. So act now. And if you act now, there'll be a free set of steak knives. I'm just kidding. Some of us older school people might remember that, but click the link there. And I want to close with this with a quick story. Howard Schultz, right? We all know him, Starbucks, right? Grew up in a public housing. He grew up in public housing, surrounded by financial hardship. Yet he refused to let his environment define his destiny. By staying true to his values of dignity, care, and human connection, he transformed Starbucks into a global brand rooted in culture, not just commerce. Let's let Schultz's story remind you and remind us that authenticity fuels impact, and choose today to become a beacon of light. God bless. We'll see you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.